This is George Miller. His artist name is Joji. He's a musician whose music has been described as a blend of lo-fi hip-hop. His songs have a dreamlike quality to them, a sort of down-tempo and melancholy theme. But before playing for crowds, he was this.
Hey, you dirty bags of menstruation! It's Filthy Frank here!
Sometimes, man.
Welcome to Psych IRL, my name is Donna, and today we're going to be talking about Filthy Frank. One, because this video is heavily requested, and two, Joji has been gaining notoriety as Joji, the artist, rather than Filthy Frank, and he's gaining fans who have no idea about the Filthy Frank background, so we're going to be talking about that. Will he face backlash from the fans who have no idea about this background? Why the Filthy Frank brand had to end, whether or not it could exist today, and the curse of branding. Although mainstream media's relationship with digital creators is getting a lot better, there's still quite a stigma from traditional Hollywood celebrities towards internet personalities. This could be a contributing factor as to why Miller had to end the Filthy Frank saga in order to pursue his music career. News outlets portrayed the beginning of YouTube's popularity to sneezing pandas, cute babies or animals, lip syncing, and people wearing wigs. The virality of these videos were cute, but nothing more. Nowhere near the level of artistry it takes to make it in Hollywood. In fact, when the popularity of the internet personality first began to trend on the platform, it was heavily looked down upon.
I wish I was counting the amount of times you used the word ridiculous in this interview.
This video gets ridiculous. Make a ridiculous video. Ridiculous things. Ridiculous. Most ridiculous.
Is that your takeaway from what you put out there?
Well, I mean, the whole thing's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that a lot of people watch it, and what I put out on the internet is ridiculous.
And when YouTubers were given the opportunity for a spot on TV, they often failed. So this negative schema was formed about YouTubers. They're perceived as a self-absorbed millennial cheating their way through the industry. Many who have been discovered through YouTube often detach themselves from their internet brand. Justin Bieber probably being the biggest example. Troye Sivan being another.
Like, I didn't stop because I didn't think that people were going to take me seriously.
Yeah, because you still uploaded every now and then.
Yeah, I just stopped because I was getting busy and wasn't excited to make videos. But it's still a really good question because I actually don't know. Though
time may be a factor into why they made their decision to let go of their online ventures, I do find that explanation hard to believe. It's fairly simple to hire someone to film, edit, and publish a 5-minute vlog of your day.
In the beginning, it was in like every single article, you know, like YouTuber Troye Sivan or whatever, YouTube turned musician, whatever. And people kind of stopped saying that. I think I had to maybe work a little harder to just like prove like, oh no, you know, I would have been making music regardless of all this YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Miller, I think, is going through the same cycle as Sivan.
What do you think about the concept of like serious music?
With serious music, I never put too much thought into it. I mean, there is a clear, you know, this is joke music and this is serious music. I was just creating what I felt like creating. I like making fun things, funny things, and I also, you know, everyone has a fun side and a serious side. So to me, I didn't see a difference.
Almost all the top articles of him seem to include the titles former YouTuber, or introduce the fact he was once an internet persona. It seems as if you have to prove yourself a little more if your popularity first began online. When will Joji be known as Joji the musician rather than Joji former YouTuber turned musician? And so we see big celebrities easily transitioning onto social media, but we rarely see celebrities who started on social media transition back. When they do upload something, it's content highly produced and less personal. It's like they have to construct an image of professionalism, that they're more than a kid recording a video of themselves on their cell phone. While on the other side, you have Howie Mandel trying to relate to the youth on TikTok.
Is it hard to deal with people who really just see you as Filthy Frank and they just want more Filthy Frank?
Back when I was too afraid to make the transition, it was a genuine concern. I was under the impression that, you know, that was my pinnacle.
It's your peak.
This is my opus. This is my opus. Like, I'm gonna be yelling on the internet, making semi-valid points here and there. You know, I thought that was, like, I was depressed that that was gonna be it.
You see this all the time a Joji video is uploaded. There's comments about Filthy Frank, how this guy made a hair cake, a human cake, and all that nasty stuff he made in his Filthy Frank videos. It kind of gets me wondering how strong the association has to be for people not to break those two characters apart. Justin Bieber, for instance, was a YouTuber for only a short amount of time, and he didn't really do the typical YouTuber stuff, so a lot of people don't associate him with being a YouTuber. And when we look at Troye Sivan did challenge videos only, so when you look at the comments, there's sure one or two things about him being a YouTuber, but for the most part, people have kind of forgotten about that. George Miller created such a strong emotional response with Filthy Frank, so that association, of course, is much stronger. The emotional response being disgust, or offensiveness. The stronger the emotional response, the stronger the association. For alcoholics, for instance, that are trying to sober up, they actually have this pill that you take, and whenever you drink alcohol, it makes you feel physically sick. Stronger the emotional response, stronger the association. They're trying to associate alcohol with sickness. Now, separating yourself from challenge videos just as Sivan did is one thing. Miller had to separate himself from something completely different.
Love it. Racism, ableism, health code violations, animal abuse.
If you had no knowledge of Joji prior to his music, it's hard to believe these two things came from the same person. With cancel culture and the implicit bias of internet personalities from mainstream media, it's understandable why Miller would want to separate the Joji and Filthy Frank brand. Miller creates this complex omniverse starring a cast of unsavory characters. Though that description fits any channel that creates skits, Miller may have produced the most offensive show on the internet. Filthy Frank videos are very crude and just plain gross. Don't get me wrong, they are all that, but it's satire. Filthy Frank embodies everything someone shouldn't be. He's anti-PC, anti-social, he often reacts in manners of racism, misogyny, homophobia, illegally, and everything bad you can think of. But it's done over the top and purposeful to highlight the stupidity, hypocrisy, and ignorance people can have on social media and the internet. Take Miller's second most popular video on the channel, TV Filthy Frank, called 100 Accurate Life Hacks. 2015/2016 was the peak of life hack videos, where this type of content would share useless information that aren't really considered life hacks. Nonetheless, these clickbait videos would get millions of views. A number of creators would sit in front of a camera and criticize them. Some would even try them to show you how ridiculous they are. Miller, though, took a different route. He created a video that was so over the top and disgusting, it perfectly exemplified how ridiculous life hack videos can be.
Are those birds outside chirping a little too loud? Well, just kill them. Are your loud neighbors keeping you up at night? Well, just kill them.
His comedic songs also took a shot at internet culture. That same year was the year every influencer seemed to be publishing a book. Miller released a song, Pink Life, in response.
A lot of people on the internet with dedicated followings will, you know, they're only like not even like 22 and they're putting out autobiographies. Like, what have you lived? You know?
Creating quote-unquote edgy content just as Miller has, of course, comes with its problems. I think George Miller himself admits that because he has deleted or privatized some of his old videos, and he hasn't really faced any major backlash where he's canceled, like PewDiePie on the internet. Every month he seems to be canceled. But he hasn't faced really major backlash like that, so it kind of shows that he doesn't stand by that type of content anymore, or he doesn't want to associate with it. Another problem that it caused is it drew in people who just didn't understand the humor. It drew in two types of people. One, people who saw the videos, took them seriously and were offended by it. I guess it's kind of understandable, but also not. I mean, he's making this voice, he's wearing something ridiculous, his behavior is sporadic and all over the place, it's kind of hard not to see why this wouldn't be satirical. This is obviously not a real person. And the second type of person it drew in was the person who took the video seriously and actually agreed with him. Both people equally as bad. Again, this is obviously a character. Why would you agree with this? He's clearly making fun of this type of person he's portraying by acting so ridiculous and outrageous. It's important to keep in mind that George Miller and Filthy Frank are two different people. The actions and opinions of Frank are not a reflection of Miller's. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite, since Miller is actively making fun of a topic using a character you shouldn't relate to. I repeat, you shouldn't relate to Filthy Frank. With YouTube as the medium, some of his fans have a hard time doing that. When equally as offensive or worse characters are on TV shows, such as Eric Cartman from South Park, the viewer understands his role on the show. Cartman often displays anti-Semitism, homophobia, racism, and any other negative ism. Like Frank, his role is to act over the top so the audience laughs at how ridiculous his behavior is. Being that TV is generally fiction, most viewers are okay and understand this humor. The creators of the character, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, don't get lumped together with Eric Cartman. YouTube, on the other hand, is associated with the raw and real people. So some of Miller's fans often attach him to his created characters.
Like, you know, I like making funny faces. You know, I'm a silly guy. Like, if I like make a silly face, like that's my face. You know, but people are like, oh, like there's still a bit of pink eye in him, and I'm like, yeah, I guess there is, but it's really just me making a face.
I think what really makes it difficult for people to disassociate George Miller and Filthy Frank is the fact that Miller has to play the character himself. In addition to that, the medium is on YouTube. And like I said before, YouTube is a place for raw, real people. So you place a character all of a sudden there, and that's what people are going to expect. Because of that, people just do not understand the humor. Let's take a look at Michael Scott from The Office, for example. He's by no means the model boss. He's very racist, homophobic, and a lot more other things.
Oh, welcome to my convenience store. Would you like some googie googie? Oh, I have some very delicious googie googie, only 99 cents plus tax. Try my googie googie. Try my googie googie. Try my googie googie. Try my...
Clearly on the show, they're making fun of all those bad characteristics. Now, if Michael Scott had a YouTube channel, you can just imagine all the backlash. As you know, the Filthy Frank show had to end. But putting aside demonetization and YouTube's new rules, do you think this show could have continued on if Miller were still passionate about it? I unfortunately think not, and I think that's due to the current social climate of things. Steve Carell was asked if he was interested in doing a reboot of The Office, and he said that no, you should let a good thing stay a good thing, just let it exist as is. But also, one of the top reasons he said that it wouldn't work out is because a lot of those jokes were very offensive, and in the current social climate, those type of jokes would not work out now. And it really makes me wonder, other than South Park, is if these kind of satirical characters exist anymore. The Fine Bros even filmed this whole episode of teenagers reacting to Seinfeld, and man, they just did not like the jokes on that show.
That's legit not funny. I understand that the show came out in like the 70s or 80s, right?
90s.
90s? That could not have been chill in the 90s.
It's pretty unfortunate because this is personally my favorite type of humor because it makes serious issues more digestible. It encourages the individual to actually look up those issues. My favorite current example is South Park making fun of the LeBron James and China situation. I mean, no other TV network really even discussed that.
The fan bases, I believe they get into a lot of arguments often. It's quickly unifying though, from what I've seen. When I'm out on the street, it's 50-50. You know, they call me out for the work that they know me for. So, you know, the people who are still attached to my old work, you know, that's fine. You know, Pee Wee Herman will always be Pee Wee Herman, right? So even if he went and ventured on to some other shit, like people are gonna know him as Pee Wee, no matter what. I expect people to latch on to what they first discovered me as, you know, just as well as I might like an artist for their older stuff.
I believe an official statement as to why I am now done with comedy is owed to my former fan base, of which I am extremely grateful for. And while it genuinely pains me to express this, I do hope the reasons below may provide some insight to my decision. Unfortunately, I no longer enjoy producing the content. Several serious health concerns, including but not limited to throat tissue damage and neurological conditions that I prefer not to get into. The decision is final. I really can't express just how grateful I am to you all, nor will I forget the relationship we had together. Moving forward, it is up to you whether you'd like to join or not. In any event, I will strive to continue creating and develop projects I am passionate about, and hope you'll succeed in doing the same. Joji. Towards the last of the final Filthy Frank videos, a minority of Miller's fans seemed to be unsatisfied with the lack of uploads and the quality of the videos themselves. The videos in his apartment ranting, screaming, breaking glass, and acting like a retard in general were the rawest forms of homegrown filth, and in my opinion, were the best of his content. With his emphasis on increasing the production value and quality of his content, a certain tone faded from his videos. Though this perspective from a small amount of his fans are subjective, I think a number of people could feel Miller's lack of passion in his closing videos, which is why I think ending the Filthy Frank saga was the right move, ending it at its peak. Continuing a narrative with money as a motivator can sometimes be a bad idea, e.g. the Terminator movies. I should have stopped at Terminator 2.
I'll be back.
What is even happening right now? Despite the possibility of increasing his popularity through his online brand, he would have most likely produced bad content due to his lack of passion. Some argue that Filthy Frank could have had a better ending, but overall, I think the saga ended on a high note, with the majority of fans having positive thoughts about the channel. It didn't continue until interest just fizzled out. Because of that, people continually reminisce about Filthy Frank and are inspired by him. With YouTube being cornered by advertisers and the FTC and the current social climate, this may be the last we see dark comedy with actual substance. We've all faced the curse of branding before. Maybe you were known as that kid who peed themselves in elementary school, or if you're me, you make a YouTube channel and you can no longer sit down and just do talking videos. It has to be highly edited, highly produced, or else someone says, this video wasn't researched well enough. Like, why? Why can't I just sit and talk? You know, but whatever. So do you think satirical characters can still exist today, whether that be on TV or on YouTube? And who's your favorite creator that's actually successfully transitioned into mainstream media? That's the end of the video. I will see you guys next time. Stay psyched.